Alright guys, I'm going to do a little video here for you guys that are new to Floyd Rose or floating tremolos. So, as I've stated before, whatever your guitar comes set up with from the factory, whatever string gauge and brand, that's what I recommend you keep it at. That's what I was taught. And then, if you want to change your tuning for these. So right now, this one's got 942 in standard A440. If you want to go a half a step down, one gauge up, 1046. If you want to go a whole step down, another gauge up, 1148. For drop tunings, like drop D, you might want to do, if you're an Ernie Ball guy, you might want to do 9 to 46, just to have a little thicker up here to accommodate that low D, and enough tension here that it keeps everything looking just like that looks right there. Let's lay it right here. And I'm going to get the bar out. Stick it on here. Now, this float angle down here. You see how that looks right there? That's the way it's supposed to look. But this is a seesaw balance. This is your string tension from your strings. It will pull upwards. In the back, right here, you can see some springs in there. Those counteract the string pull to make sure that that bridge stays just like that right there. So, the first thing you do if you're having tuning issues, check your locking nut. You don't want these super tight. You don't want them super tight. This is a snug thing. Tighten it down to where the screw no longer offers resistance and stop. If you keep cranking on it, you can strip your threads, and then you're in trouble because you may not be able to find a replacement nut for it. This retainer bar right here pushes the strings down so they move evenly over that nut. It's like a string break angle, is what they call it. Okay, so if you get you a used Floyd Rose guitar that's equipped with a floating trim like a Floyd Rose or the Ibanez Edge Bridge, if it's kicked up like this, way up there like that, this means your springs in the back are not tight enough. So what you will do is take the back plate off and tighten your springs and then retune it. And as you tune it, the bridge will move, move, move until it falls right there in that position and holds tune. If it's the other way, could break a string here. I hope not. Pulled up. See how it's going upwards? That means your springs are too tight. They need to be loosened. So when you're adjusting this string claw or spring claw, do it in small increments. 1/4 to 1/8 turn on each side. Because there's 2 screws in the back there. If it's kicked upwards, you need to tighten them 1/4, 1/8, retune, check your angle again. Then if it's kicked downward, down this way, more into the body, into this cavity here, you need to loosen the springs 1/4, 1/8 turn on each side until you get this. And it can be really time consuming. But they make a thing called a trim wedge. Skyscraperguitars.com makes those. I bought me a set. You stick it in there inside your sustain block. Get the bridge looking like this. Stick that thing in there. It'll hold it. You can put all your strings on, do all your setup work, and everything like that without the hassle of having to do this seesaw act. So that's what I know about Floyd Rose. And now, the last part, to keep this like this so that you don't have to fight it so much, when you change your strings, you will unlock this nut, the 3 screws right here, loosen them off. Don't take your pads off and take the screws out. Don't do that. Just unlock them. Start with your low string first. Tune it completely down slack. Clip it off. Loosen up in here. Take it out of this. Put your new string on. Lock it here. Feed it through up there. Wrap it around your tuner. Tune it right up to the pitch you're going for. If it's E, go right to E. And leave it. And then repeat that process with each string. And that will keep your bridge nice and balanced, just like that. If you watched my sound video for this guitar, at the end when I was doing all that crazy bar, yanking on the bar, and it went out of tune, these are new strings, and I haven't played it but maybe 10 minutes since I put them on, so they were stretching. That's why it went out of tune. They will still stretch, but once they stop stretching and you're in tune, you're there with one of these. Now these cheaper bridges, like what's on this 140 here, this JS 140, they don't hold tune as well as something like an original Edge or original Floyd Rose. But they do the job. If you buy this guitar, this is not a guitar that you can yank on the bar and play like Joe Satriani would play on it. But if you're a hobbyist and have fun in your room playing, this guitar is great. But I just wanted to give you guys a little overview of what I know about Floyd's. There's all kinds of videos out there that you can check out. But that's the best that I can explain it. Just remember, same string gauge, same brand, same tuning. And you'll be good to go. You won't hate your Floyd. You'll learn how to live with it. And she'll cooperate with you. Just remember, these bridges have feelings. So if you say something to it, like, "You effing guitar, you don't stay in tune, I can't get you right," it's still going to go out of tune on you. You got to treat them with respect. Be nice to them. Let's see if all that crazy yanking on that bar, how I was moving that, let's see if it knocked out of tune at all. Nope. So it's balanced. If you have tuning issues with your bar, when you hit it and you drop it down, if it drops low, that means your strings are stretching. If it's high when you hit it and it goes sharp, something is catching. Either right there where it rolls over the saddle, or the knife edge right here that goes into your post, or up at the locking nut. The strings are catching somewhere. So get you some of that Big Ben's nut sauce, that stuff, and just put you a little lube on the moving areas here. Like here, on your knife edges, just a drop. Doesn't take much. And on each slot where your strings go into your nut. And that will alleviate that movement. And when you use the bar, sometimes you hear a little kink sound. That's your string pinching somewhere. That's how you know you got catching happening. It's usually right there. But Floyd's, they're not the nightmare that most people say they are. As long as you know your basics. Same string gauge, same tuning, same brand. Always. So I hope that helps people, or some people that might watch and they're nervous about a Floyd Rose. Oh yeah, one more thing about them. These little knobs right here. So after you lock the nut up there, you cannot tune this with your tuners up there, your machine heads. You tune it with these right here. And people have asked me, how do you do that? How do you know what way to turn it? Okay. So if you need to raise the pitch of your string, you will turn it to the right this way. If you need to lower it, I'm not moving it, I'm just doing it with my hand. If you need to lower it, turn it this way. And it's very small movements, it doesn't take much. And not all bridges look like this. Some of them have the string retainer, the string lock in there, where you put your wrench in to lock it in. Some will have it up under here, and they'll stick back into this cavity. Now, intonation, whole another video in its own, man. Intonation on something like this is a little crazy sometimes, and it can be time consuming and take forever. If you're not comfortable doing it, I would say go to a tech. Look here. See that little screw hole right there? That's brand new from the factory, and that thing is stripped. I can't adjust the intonation on this. I could, but I'm afraid to touch the rest of these. But from the factory, the intonation is pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And then sometimes when you get your Floyd set up, you get it working good, it's in tune, it's staying in tune, it might feel like your action is slammed to the neck. Maybe you like that with a lot of fret buzz, that's not good. Or the action will creep up, way up off the fretboard. Sometimes that can be alleviated with sticking your little Allen wrench inside your posts and lowering each side of this bridge or raising it. If you have to go too crazy with it, that means you need a truss rod adjustment. And truss rods, if you're not comfortable doing a truss rod adjustment yourself, do not attempt it. Because if you don't know what you're doing and you're cranking on that truss rod and you're tightening it, eventually it's going to stop tightening. And if that happens and you keep cranking it, you'll break that rod and the guitar is ruined. Take it to a tech. Anything with these Floyd Rose, you know, if it gets too crazy on you and you can't get it tuned up, you can't get it to hold its tuning or its natural zero to where it holds tune perfectly, which the Ibanez bridges have a sweet spot. And you have to find that, and that's where it'll hold tune for you. You can't really see it on your bridge. You feel it in your bar. It'll be really smooth when you use it. You just barely tap it and it'll drop. Or barely flick it up and it'll raise that bridge. So if you barely move this one, it's moving just a little bit. Let's go a little bit this way with it here. Yeah, see that bounce? Yeah, it's in the sweet spot. But that's factory setup. And these guitars do come with a manual that tells you what your action height should be. And, you know, they don't give you much on this bridge, though. But if you're uncomfortable with Floyds and you don't know how to work on them, you can take it to a tech, to your local music store. They'll set it up for you. Might cost you about $80. But once or twice a year, $80 is money well spent for one of these. Because they are absolutely outstanding for tuning stability. So anyway, I hope that helps some of you beginners out there and all you Floyd users out there that have been playing for years. If there's any other techniques you guys know about how to maintain one of these things, drop it down in the comments for people to see. Everyone have a good night and take care. Like and subscribe. Keep shredding it up.